Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That hasn't felt so good. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the November 7th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Kalo has our dog from the dog kennel this morning.
We have a wonderful dog this week. Come here. Whatever. There you go. Our featured dog this week is an 18-month-old Sheppard mixed female. She's got a great personality. She's a stray found in Elyria. What do you think? We have 37
she loves you.
This week. You ought to stop by. She'll be available for adoption at 3 o'clock on Saturday, right? What do you think? Come on, let's go. Come on.
She loves you just like the Lorain County voters did yesterday, Ted. I had to get that in. November 7th yesterday was election day, so okay.
Not as much as they loved you.
That's right. Madam Clerk?
We're going to have 4 public budget hearings today. At 9:45 will be the coroner, 10 o'clock OSU, 10:15 soil and water, and 10:30 domestic. Under resolutions, number 1, job and family services bills.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Koski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Koski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Koski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Koski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
I noticed that the one for Allied Waste did not return, so did we resolve that issue for DR?
There's been a lot going on. I had staff working on that.
Okay.
I don't have the answer, but clearly we haven't asked for additional action, so I'll update you in the future on that.
Good, thank you.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
I do have several personnel issues with respect to hiring at Job and Family Services. I need to discuss with the board for your decision. Also, I'd like to update you on our ongoing labor negotiations. I met for a few hours with our authorized representatives, and I just want to bring you up to date on where we're at with that and reconfirm opposition on a few issues. Both those topics are allowable for discussions under the Sunshine Law for executive session, so I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today, we go into executive session and talk about those issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same in the County Commissioners meeting minutes of October 31st.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorize maintenance and support service agreement with CGI Technologies and Solutions, Inc. for support of applications, software, and software updates of the Document Imaging Department. Agreement is effective January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2013, and will not exceed a value of $113,806. Authorize director to execute and amend this agreement for changes in the programming content and to increase the value of this agreement with prosecutors' approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Under Children's Services, authorize the additions, deletions of personnel to utilize the agency's master credit card for the year 2012. Set of usages for telephone, gas and oil, minor vehicle maintenance and emergency repairs of county-owned or leased vehicles in the amount of $2,500 to $20,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, I do have, well, first, congratulations to our two commissioners who will be remaining here for a number of years on your victory last night, and to all the other candidates that participated in the process of democracy as we know it. It's always a great night on election night, especially when you're victorious. That said, I have a housekeeping issue that I'll pass down. This is with regard to the DETRAC funds for the land bank. I met with the Auditor's Office with regard to the collection of the DETRAC, and they have to do some programming changes to be able to collect that. And they've indicated to me, because it has a cap on it, which we don't expect to get to the cap, but it takes a more extensive programming, and they've recommended that we take the cap off of that and just have a percentage. The program becomes much less complicated and therefore less costly to have done, and that if the board is worried about the amount of funding that comes in, they should just review that as during the budgetary process. Prosecutor Innes was there with us, and I also have some correspondence with him from the prosecutor's office with respect to that I'll pass to you. So I think this is a housekeeping issue. I'm looking for the easiest way to get this done. The reason I'm bringing it from the floor and it's not on the agenda is the urgency of it. So because they're getting ready to get everything done for the collections that need to go out, and we're asking that you housekeep that resolution and leave the 5%, but take the cap off. Right now, it would be an extraordinary thing to think that it was going to come in at that anyway, but we need to move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. The discussion? Yeah, we talked about this before, and my concern with it is we're taking money away from the schools. And when we brought this up, we said it would never go above what the 2011 numbers were. Mm-hmm. So is there really a need to remove the cap? If it would go above the 800,000, it would just be more money going back to the schools then, because we wouldn't be able to get it.
If it went above the 800,000, you could subsequently reduce the percentage the next year, which would return that amount of money back to the original source.
Yeah, but with the cap right now, it wouldn't prevent anything above the 800,000, correct?
Oh, yes.
So my question to you is, if we don't feel it's going to go above the 800,000,
okay,
and we stated that we don't ever expect it, do we really need to remove the cap?
Again, let me tell you the reason why I asked to have the cap removed. The Auditor's Office has indicated the people that are writing the program that do the tax collections, because I guess it's a very complicated Oracle program they use, said that it requires extensively more programming to have a variable in there that would stop collections at a certain point. 5% is an easy thing. You put the 5% in, but 5%, if it does this, then it doesn't collect 5%, it collects less percent. And they've indicated that that's very challenging programming. And I think Craig is here.
Right.
We had that meeting just, 2 days ago, Craig?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Craig.
Congratulations again on your election. We had a meeting with Jim, Jerry Innes, Mark, myself, a very productive meeting the other day, and we kicked around a lot of ideas, and the 800,000 did come up in question. When we do the programming, that will add additional cost to that. Do we feel that the 800,000 is going to be reached? No. So why add another layer of programming that's not needed? And if, for some instance, if you ever do hit the 800,000, you can always adjust it, as Jim indicated, the following year to recoup the monies. So it'd be a lot easier to change the percentage because then it's just a mass change, as opposed to trying to put this $800,000 cap. So I would agree with what Jim's, telling you this morning, that it would be better to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I used to deal with Oracle. What is the?
It's not Oracle, by the way.
Oh,
Oracle is
it's
the
Oracle,
financial
I'm sorry.
system.
Oh, okay.
It's the DevNet system, actually. We have a real
Okay.
estate system as well as the
All right.
financial system, and this is actually generated through the real estate system.
Okay. Sorry about that. When you told me Oracle, I know
I
there's
did say
programming
Oracle
ways to
was
get
me.
around, so
No.
that's why I was questioning that. Before we take the vote, I mean, I'm just going to ask a question. Would
Thank
you
you.
be willing to, in order to fund the land bank, not use the DTACs from the schools and come up with a different one? No?
This is what the state has authorized us to go forward and use the DRETAC for the specific purpose, so.
Yeah, I mean, we could use it.
There's no other funding available to fund DRETAC other than the money that we're getting from the state and the use of these funds.
Yeah, this is what it was designed to do.
Right.
Like I said, we had this talk in my office this morning, Tom. I wasn't happy. I was appalled by the way you handled this. And then showing down, up at the tear down. But this is how we did. We agreed to do it. You joined the land bank. And now to do these stops and say it's can do things, can't do things. I mean, we're going forward. Elyria Township's thrilled. The neighbors were thrilled. We tore down that house on Saturday.
Well,
We're gonna be able to
again,
do a couple of hundred. So I mean, to hold this kind of stuff up is,
well, again, what you're referring to is I stated that I didn't believe that we should be taking money from the schools. We do bring up, or it's been brought up by this board multiple times, that the governor is balancing his budget on our backs. He's taking money away from the schools, and here we are taking money away from the schools. That is what I'm not happy about. With the land bank, I'm okay getting the money from the state, tearing it down, but I think we need to have an end date of December 31st, 2013, where we're done with the program. But
I think our end date should be once the problem is resolved, because I don't think that money that we're getting from the state is going to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So I think we're going to need to use the continuation of these DRETAC dollars in order to accomplish.
Well, let me make this clear.
goal.
While we're talking about state money, let's be clear here. We still need to match
right.
over $1 million.
Right.
Or there is no state money.
Right, and we're taking a loan out through the Port Authority to get that, and then we're gonna use the DTAX money that's
Pay it
coming from the
back.
schools in order to pay back the loan, plus the personnel, plus the maintenance to do it. You're not gonna have a lot of money to continue to go on unless you're going to, you see this going above the 800,000.
No, Tom, there's other available dollars out there, whether it's the EPA, the green money, to
Right.
do not only demolition, but there's also the rehab component of the land bank along with the commercial component. Because the land banks can do rehabs. That's one of the revised code allows about 3 or 4 different uses,
Right.
which you didn't state because a bunch of people started calling me crazy.
Actually,
and
no, I
can't
did,
see your post, so-
no, I did state that you could use the county land bank as for rehab.
Okay,
What
well,
I-
somebody called me on it and it wasn't, but we can do the rehab because the
Yeah, you
NSP
can do the
money's
rehab.
expiring. Correct, Don? We're through our 2012. There's no more
Right.
NSP money out there.
Right, but the money from the state you cannot use for the rehab, it's for
Correct.
demolishing it.
It's
And that's
demolition
where,
only.
and that's where we were going through and just discussing that on a forum, so.
See, that's component number 1 is the demolition using the money. Concurrently, we have to look how and if there's going to be a rehab program tied to that, working with the cities, villages, and townships and how they want to handle that, so.
And again, my disagreement is we should not be using the money from the schools on it. If the money would go back over, or if it would go over 800,000, would you be willing to say $800,000 is our max? If it goes above it, we would return that, we would lower the percentage.
I would look at it at that time, Tom, telling we're going to be at in 2 or 3 years. I don't think it's going to ever hit the 800,000, to be honest with you. We're hoping the economy's turning around. I mean, that's been shown through our sales tax collection this year. Money's up. I mean, the voters are approving levies now for schools and cities. Congratulations to those of you who won out there. So people are starting to invest back in their communities at this point. So I don't think we'll ever get close to that number. And those schools' numbers change every year based on who paid their taxes and who didn't pay their taxes, those who went into default. I'm happy doing it just to cut the paperwork, make it easier for the auditor's office to handle this. The prosecutor says it's a good idea. Don't want to, second guess our attorneys. So, I'll call for the question if you can.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Do you have anything else?
I'm sorry, I was waiting. I didn't expect the discussion to be over. No, that should be it for this morning, with the exception of the executive session. I know we got a long meeting ahead of us. Thank you.
As long as Doug doesn't show us all 96 pages of his PowerPoint.
Mr. Innes, Assistant County Prosecutor.
Commissioners, I do just have a couple of short updates on imminent litigation. Again, just to update you on that. And just among the congratulations, I would like to extend a congratulations to the Board of Elections. I was out there last night, and being aware of all the problems that are happening around the state, where there's a lot of partisan activity going on, and despite everybody's feelings, our local board does a tremendous job of setting aside the partisanship and working together. They had a lot of challenges with paper running short and, the amount of the turnout, and they just do a tremendous job of working together to get the things done. So I would like to send out my congratulations and thanks to Paul Adams and Jim Kramer, as well as all the volunteer poll workers and the other employees of the Board of Elections who really do a good job on election day.
Do we want to do our budget hearings before we do yours, or?
Sure.
Dr. Evans, County Coroner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Congratulations to
Thank you.
the winners. I have a little handout there to kind of go through some of this. Some of the handout is the letters that I've sent over since May about our budget, that we've been severely impacted.
Excuse me, Doctor. Ernie, can you put up the overhead so we can just let everyone see the numbers as well when you're going through it? We have the equipment, we might as well use it, right?
Technology is
Technology,
wonderful.
you gotta love it.
But as detailed in the letters, we've been severely impacted. Well, you can use mine. You can use mine.
You can have ours. Here you go. Take these. They're clean.
Severely impacted by a lot of things, some of which some of which is national. Things like everybody's seeing us in the newspaper constantly because of the big thing has been the drug overdoses. Currently, we're over 50 drug overdoses deaths in Lorain County this year. The highest we've ever had before is 22. We're on a pace that we're going to triple the number of people that have died of drug overdoses in Lorain County. And it's not just a Lorain County problem, it's a state problem, it's a national problem, but unfortunately it's something that affects all of us, but it affects the coroner's office and affects our budget, because every person that dies an unexpected death like this, we have to investigate, and there are costs. There's costs for toxicology, there's costs for transportation of bodies, there's costs for autopsies, and so there's a great deal of cost, and because of the overdoses, we've had an unusual number of baby deaths, we've had an unusual number of traumatic and accidental and criminal deaths also in Lorain County, and so that severely impacted our budget. In fact, I've sent these letters because my budget is gone, basically, and so we need extra funds to keep the coroner's office up and running. To this point, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul and moving things the best we can to keep things going. We've done everything we can to keep the costs down. We've negotiated with a new toxicology lab, brought our costs way down, but the costs are up because of the numbers. But the actual cost per case is down because we were able to go to a different provider and negotiate a better price. Our transport crew is a Lorain County organization that is basically doing it for us at cost. Because they realize that the situation that we're in Lorain County and I guess the nation. So anyway, that kind of answers the two letters. To give you kind of an idea, and I know it's hard to understand, what the cost of a coroner's office is because we don't compare to like the Board of Elections or the Sheriff's Department or other departments. And so to give you an idea, I have the handout that shows the budgets for the surrounding counties that are similar to our population. There's an average that they say in the coroner's literature that you should have $2 to $2.50 per person in the county for your coroner's office. Well, with us being a little bit over 300,000, that should put us into the $600,000 to $700,000 range for a budget for the coroner's office. And as you can see, the other counties that are similar in size to ours are in that range. And if you go, and you know, we're not in the wish list, we're in the need list, but if you go into Cuyahoga County, they're at about $9 to $10 per person in Cuyahoga County. Their budget is like $11 million kind of thing. And so, I mean, they're in the wish list, we're in the need list. We're not anywhere near where we should be based on what corresponding counties are getting. So if you go to our budget, in the proposed budget, we tried to keep everything equal to what it was in the last year as much as we could. There's 3 or 4 things that need to go up, and I'll do the easiest ones first. The transport services we are taking up only because our number of transports are up. You know, it's just a matter of numbers. If you're transporting, if you have more people overdosing, more people dying traumatic deaths, more unexpected deaths, you have to raise that number. It's just a matter of math. If I transport 100 bodies versus transporting 200 bodies, kind of thing. The lab services is another easy one. Again, it's just a matter of math. If I have 20 people overdosing, that's one cost. If I have over 50 people overdosing, it's a second cost. I can't change the fact that 50 people are overdosing, although I am working on that. We are doing a lot of things to try to prevent a lot of these deaths, and we've kind of changed some of the focus of the coroner's office into preventing deaths. We have a big organization that's working to try to get Narcan in the community to try to prevent some of these deaths, but that's a story for another time.
You said the lab services, I'm sorry, doctor, that needs to go up? Right now it's
Correct.
the same.
Well, it needs to go up from last year. That's the same as what we proposed for the,
Okay.
you know, but it needs to go up. The last year budget, I think, was $20,000.
Wait, $2,000, Doc, will cover the additional lab services?
Well, we're
for
hoping.
3
Like I
times the
said, we
amount?
did negotiate a better price,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to hold it down as best I can.
Okay.
The third thing there is professional services. That's autopsies. That's we have to pay the hospital for, you know, they do the histology and you know, they do the storage of our bodies while we're doing the autopsies. And that's a cost to EMH, basically. Most of that's to EMH. The cost of doing business. Again, EMH being, you know, a partner of ours, has given us a sweetheart deal and is doing, they raised some of our costs from $60 to $65. I mean, they are doing the best they can to hold the cost down because they understand our limitations. The other thing that's gone up is that I'm asking for an increase is the salaries and wages. Since I've taken over a little bit over a year ago, we've lost 1 coroner, 2 pathologists, and 3 deputy coroners. I only have 5 people that work for me. And we have this constant turnover because obviously I can't pay these people. I mean, I have doctors working for me for minimum wage kind of thing, and so it's hard to keep them because I have nothing to offer them. Basically, most of these people that are working for me are doing it as a community service and things, or as a friendship to me, basically. But the key one here is our pathologist. We need to be able to pay our pathologist to be able to do this. Otherwise, if I lose the 1 pathologist I have left, then we have no pathologist, and I'm not sure what we'll do, because I've been through the Rolodex 2 or 3 times trying to replace the people we've already lost, and my ability to attract new people when I'm paying next to nothing is impossible. So those are the 4 things that are up over my last year budget and my proposal. Basically, most of the other stuff is similar to last. I understand the restraints of the county, I understand the financial situation of the county. The problem is if I keep getting the number of people dying, number of people of overdosing, there's nothing I can do about changing the fact that, you know, it's on a per patient or per death basis that, you know, we need a little bit more funding.
So you're looking at approximately a 14% increase to your budget? Is that
Correct.
the number, Doc?
That's probably correct.
About 14% increase?
Well, from 429,
You have to-
Come up,
you have
you
to
gotta
come
be
up.
on.
You have to be on
Uh-oh.
the microphone.
429 was our last year
Yeah.
budget.
Right.
So
Dawn, your
429.
brother's not camera shy, why are you?
She's not. She's been up to the mic before. You talked about a drug, narcan, what was it?
Yeah, we have
Narcan.
a task force that I set up with the Alcohol and Drug Board that we're meeting, and we're trying to get Narcan into the community, into the first responders' hands. Narcan is a drug that will reverse drug overdoses if it's given quickly. And if we can get that into the hands of first responders, then we may be able to prevent some of these deaths. I mean, you know, as an my original training and my original thing is as an ER doctor. And so basically what I'm trying to do with the coroner's office is, you know, we have to deal with the deaths, obviously. But what I really want to do is prevent the deaths. And so we're working with trying to get Narcan into the community so that we can save some of these people, trying to work on safe sleep so that we can prevent some of the SIDS deaths. I've had like 5 SIDS deaths this year, and those are preventable. If we can get the education out there, if we can get the OB doctors, the pediatricians, the hospitals cooperate with us, I think we can prevent some of those deaths. So I have a task force that's doing that. We have another task force that's working on drinking and driving to try to prevent some of the drinking and driving deaths because we get way too many of those. I end all of my speeches when I go out and give these speeches with, put me out of business. I want to be put out of business because what the coroner office does is it investigates untold deaths, you know, deaths that shouldn't have happened. And, you know, we all know everybody's going to die eventually. But those aren't my deaths. The natural deaths are not the ones that the coroner office investigates. It's the babies who die. It's the people who die of overdose. It's the murders. If we don't fund this department, then people, and one thing, people are going to get away with murder. Because when somebody, you know, dies unexpectedly, may be murdered, I, along with the sheriff and the prosecutor, have to investigate the death. If I don't have the funding to do it, then I'm letting the sheriff down, I'm letting the prosecutor down, and in the long run, I'm letting the people in Lorain County down.
Now, when you're talking about the Narcan and Doc, isn't that an issue? Because I read something in the paper a few weeks ago, one of our reports, as to who's allowed to dispense it. Is that the drug
Correct.
you're talking about?
You were going to give it to
And
the
we're
police
working with
and,
I'm working with the state pharmacy board.
Okay.
And also with the state medical board to try to get it so that we can use it with our first responders. So that's what we have.
Currently, we can't,
We
though.
can't.
Okay, all right,
Currently,
that's
we
what I
can't.
thought. When you brought it up, I knew I remembered that word. I
Yeah.
couldn't.
Currently, we
Exactly.
can't, but we're working on it, and I think we'll accomplish it. But some of this is a slow process, changing, you know, rules and regulations and laws. Some of it, we may end up having to go through the legislature to get some of this
Correct.
changed. And I am working with some of our local congressmen to see if we can get, you know, something done in the legislature.
Yeah, we need to get a handle on this problem. It's in every community and all across this state.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, people tell me, well, I hate to almost say this, but some people say to me it's the thinning of the herd. It's not the thinning of the herd. It's all socioeconomic classes, and I tell people it's doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs. It's all socioeconomic classes that are being affected by this. Every family is being affected by this. And so we need to do something, and usually it's our youngest people. It's that 20 to 30-year-old age group. And, you know, if you had to be there with the mothers, the fathers who have lost their children, you'd understand why it's so important to try to save these people's lives.
Well, I've spent a lot of time with the sheriff and Captain Kavanaugh the last month or two on the campaign trail, so we've talked a lot about this and the issue that's out there and
Yeah.
tripling, as you've said, so it's something that definitely have to be addressed from that point.
The heroin, the bath salts, all those,
Opiates, right.
all the opiates, right?
Jim, did we ever do anything administratively for the coroner in regards to that $15,000 request from a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe?
Yeah, you approved it today.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure. I thought we did. I wanted to make sure it got done.
Thank you.
It was, you know, I had briefly talked with all three of you and indicated I felt the urgency was such that we just had to do it. So I know you've been really, really busy and with that big stack of paperwork, but it was in there. And I think that I had the budget director talk to Doc Evans where he wanted the money. Was that, or we haven't done that?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
But the money's been approved.
Thank you.
Yeah, the one thing we do have, last week, we actually went through, kind of toured the facilities here. You're leasing a space out in Oberlin. It's about $15,000. We talked about this last year. If we move them into a county facility, that's going to be a $15,000 savings. So take your budget increase from $62,000 down to $47,000. I've been working with Mr. Cordes and going through Dr. Evans. The board just needs to kind of sit down and take a look at this and determine what we want to do.
I'd like to hear
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from the Dr. Evans on his preference. I know you were walking him around the fourth and fifth floor, but I haven't spoke to Dr. Evans on it. I'm sorry I haven't called you back.
Well, before you go in, the one location that we're talking about, kind of a wish list with a private company, conversation hasn't been made yet, so please refrain from mentioning that company.
I will. Well, I mean, basically, we have been looking into different options. One of the things, and I know there is some cost with the facility that we have right now, but the facility we have right now has served us well. I mean, it is a nice location. It geographically is in the center of the county, and so, we haven't, I'm not necessarily wed to the location, but I don't mind the location as far as, it is convenient to, pay people that have to come to my office. We have patients, families that come to my office. We have, funeral homes. We have a lot of people that come to my office. And so being geographically centered in the county has been, a benefit to us. I mean, it is a nice location. It is relatively cheap. It's easy to park. I had trouble parking today. I'm probably going to get a ticket. And so there's some advantages to where we're at now. But there are other places that we've looked at, some of which are owned by the county and some of which aren't, that, possibly, are going to be, as good or better maybe, kind of thing. So it is something we're looking into, but at this point, I don't think we've made a commitment to any place or anything of that nature. I don't think that really reflects in our budget it doesn't reflect in our budget what we currently pay. The one thing I don't want to do is, there's going to be a cost. I mean, it's not going to be easy to move my department because we do have a lot of, we have to keep records from everything for years and years and years, and there's a lot of stuff in our office. So moving our office will put my office down for a while during the move. It's also not going to be an easy thing. It's not also going to be a cheap thing. I mean, there's going to be a cost involved with moving and rehabbing wherever we go to. So it's something that we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish kind of thing, but it is certainly something, we're willing to look into, what our options are.
Well, everything when I've heard and talked and spoke to our administrators, you don't have a comfort level of being in this building for the coroners. Okay,
No.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in today.
You do a nice job, Doc.
Yeah.
Tell Jessica I said hello.
I think Minnie Taylor's here, OSU Extension.
Corner.
Let's get this paperwork so we have each one done right.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Hey, Ernie, just keep that in case she needs it. Keep it up.
Take one, pass it on? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oops.
One of each.
Yes. Good morning.
Lori, you
Oh,
the
is
other
there-
paper? There's
Just
two.
two?
Yeah, there's that, and then there's a white behind it.
There's an informational sheet as well as a budget.
Oh,
Did you get it?
Didn't get that.
Okay. Yes, I had two.
got it. All right, thank you.
How did your dinner go the other night? I apologize. They took my mother to the hospital,
That's
so I'm
what I
sorry I couldn't be
understand.
there.
I'm glad everything worked out for you.
And they released her last night. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good.
We're going to put this on the PowerPoint also. Would you like this on the PowerPoint on our pad there, Minnie?
I'm fine. I just
Okay.
gave that for your information that you can read. I didn't expect you to read it right now, although
Okay.
you could, but I'd just like to explain a little bit about the program, and I've given you some background information about the 4-H program. We had some of our members and parents and volunteers that attended a meeting about a month ago, but I just want to reiterate and talk about restoring our budget. We were zeroed out. For the last 4 or 5 years, we were cut down and then actually zeroed out last year. And I'm asking for some restoring of our budget because the program is so vital to this community. After hearing the doctor talk about, the drugs and the things that are out there, I just want you to know that 4-H is more than just cows and cooking or just a youth social program. We're making inroads. We're making a huge difference in the urban community. And so it's very important. We've lost all of our staff except 2 of us. And we're working with over 400 volunteers. Volunteers have stepped up tremendously. And that was the only way that we were able to get through 2012 with the work of our volunteers. Fundraising, sweat equity, working to make sure that the program continued. They're strong in this community with 4-H because we realize that if we don't give our kids the opportunity, they may not have it. And you hear the stories about the drugs and the things that are out there. We don't give them positive youth development opportunities. I mean, they're all of our children, and if we don't do that, then the other side will get them, and they will end up as statistics in this community. And I'm passionate about the kids in this community and just want to make sure that you understand the 4-H program. And I know that you do. But try and restore some of the funding that we lost so that we can have the staff, along with our volunteers, to be able to handle the requests that we get. We work, and in your packet you'll see, we work with all of the school districts in the county. We do financial literacy, teaching kids how to make financial choices. Oftentimes their parents don't know about financial literacy, and so we go into the schools and in after-school programs and talk about financial literacy, or teaching them about making wise choices for themselves. Because somebody else did it, you don't have to. You can break the cycle. Just those life skill things. We're community, and we're at the OSU Extension, we work with youth and adults, seniors, low-income seniors, teaching them, again, healthy choices, food choices, how to manage their money, and how to give service back to the community. Perfect example was last night with the elections, teaching our kids. We do what we call Youth Government Day, and we've had kids throughout the county offices. Because of the cuts that we've sustained, we've not been able to do that, but I think it's so important for them to understand the power of their vote and how government works, and it's going to impact them when they're at that age where they can vote. So, I mean, it's full circle of all the things that we can teach our kids, these life skills. It's very important. And so what I've proposed to you is that we can restore at least for one educator and secretary and part-time, instead of asking for full-time, part-time would help. Again, our volunteers are so passionate about it that on one page you can see the number of volunteer hours that we've committed to this community in 2012, which saved us about $155,000 if you do it $8 an hour to what volunteers do 4 hours per month. So we have a huge support in this community, and I'm just saying to you, and I know that you all believe in children, that you continue to support this program and that you give some serious consideration so that we don't end up with those statistics about kids making poor choices, doing drugs. We look at the cost of having them in juvenile court, and what we offer in our program would offset that. So just asking you to give us some more consideration this year, and then try and restore the funding that we lost so that we can do the work, not just in rural areas, but in the urban areas. I don't care what community or what school building or after-school program that I go to and I talk about our 4-H program, we could recruit and work with 10 times more, because that's the need that's out there. And oftentimes children are not getting that at home, or our seniors are not getting the education that they need. So we work with adults and youth. So I'm not going to continue to preach to you all this morning, although I could. I will abstain.
If I can, we're looking at your page for your 2013 budget request, shows 151,753.
That is correct.
Now, if we take the 17,400 that solid waste always does, that comes out of that amount, correct? You don't want this on top of?
No, I do not.
Then we're looking at the other 55,000 approximately that Judge Walter and our agreement.
If we can get, that's not
That's
in
not
stone.
set, but I mean, we can use that to offset your 151, 753, or whatever number we end up at
Yes.
on that budget.
Yes. It's just hard, Ted, to go into another year not knowing, having any concrete information, so.
We've done a lot of talking over
Yes,
the
we
years.
have, and I know
So,
you
mean,
support it. You all do.
For this, go ahead.
Then we're looking at if we have any match from the Friends of Junior Fair currently, and I haven't had any discussion with Lisa Fox, so that's not sure where that's
It's a
at.
fundraiser, you never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
We're praying for the best outcome, but again, it's a shoot in the dark.
But if it's somewhere around last year's numbers, then we're looking at somewhere around a 47 or 48,000 shortfall
Yes.
for full request. So you're looking at additional 50 grand basically from the general fund.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, I'm sorry,
Oh,
Commissioner.
no, I was just looking at last year's, or this year's numbers that we passed in December of 11, which was 17.4 from solid waste, $31,000 match from the general fund, which you guys must have raised 31,
We raised
correct?
it, the volunteers raised.
You raised 31, we gave you 31, and 55 from Golden Acres, so 103, pardon?
Green Acres.
Oh, that, Green
Green
Acres, I'm
Acres.
sorry.
Green Acres, yes.
Green, gold, and same. No.
That's okay. I know what you meant.
And I know there was set aside with
So-
Judge Walther, just so you know, this year about 55,000 and one other year for next year 55,000. And I'd have to reaffirm those numbers, but it was our discussion in the last few weeks.
So we gave you 103, but you had raised 31, so you were at.
No,
like
the 31 was included in that 103.
Yeah.
With the fundraiser.
The 31, they had to write us a check to the general fund commissioner, and then we put it in the OSU budget.
Okay.
So you
all
didn't
right, that
actually
was
give it to
included,
us.
so
Right,
we were at-
103 all in.
We were 72.8 last year between solid waste and Green Acres.
Okay.
There was no general fund direct dollars
Exactly.
infused into this program.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay.
And this 151 will cover a full-time and a part-time
Yes.
person?
Support staff. We've cut all the way back from 8 employees down to this, bare bones, but we.
8 down to 2?
Yes.
Well, because we lost match money because we didn't have the additional budget amount.
Exactly. Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much for coming in today.
My pleasure.
What do we have next, Teresa?
Soil and water,
John
is it?
Bourne from
John
Soil and
Bourne.
Water.
Did we just give him 106 grand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm John Bourne, Chairman of the Board of Lorain County Soil and Water Board. And I'm here to request some funding for this next year. This year, we're requesting $105,000 that meet our the cost of our employees that we currently have. We have one full-time employee. We have 2 part-times. The part-time is our natural resource coordinator. He works 1 day a week. Came on board in March, and so far he's already done 60 home visits to people who have
Wow.
problems. Wrote a lot of reports, and he's doing a pretty good job. Also, we're got a part-time person doing the Stormwater Phase 2. And this year, we had an increase of 48 new applications for construction here in the county, which is good news for the county.
I have a question, John. Before
Yes.
you carry that on, Jim would probably need you on this. When the Phase 2 is done, they pay a fee for that, correct, the developer?
Well, going back a number of years, the fees are not strong
line.
enough to really support the cost of the work that's being done.
But those Phase 2 fees do come back to our general fund of the work they're performing, or are they going directly?
No, it
to-
comes back to the general fund, but they're
Okay.
not
Trying to remember.
significant.
Thank you. That's what I need to know. What was it, $5,000 or $6,000 if I remember?
Right, yeah, that's right.
It wasn't much of anything, so we need to do a fee adjustment probably on that also going forward?
Well, it depends on what we do with the budget request and how we allocate funds. We kind of bifurcated this last year at the last minute, so.
Well, I know we had discussions prior to the Phase 2 being part of our stormwater district, where we basically subcontracting it out to, how is that being addressed through the stormwater?
Once again, we never really got complete clarification. in my thinking, the county has imposed these requirements, but it should be a cost to the Stormwater District to carry that out. So, I believe that we're willing to reimburse or directly do those things. We had thought that the Stormwater District was going to be providing for those inspections, but we've had a very productive relationship continuing the way we are.
I just want to make sure how the money is chased around on the racetrack, where it's going to, and how we're addressing it. If our fees are under what they should be, we should get those where they belong at.
Well, with given the stagnation of new housing starts and so forth, we didn't think that at that time raising the fees was going to be an enhancement to contribute into bigger growth. But
Well, I just meant if we can look at that going forward, because if you said we have 48 permits, what did we have the year before? For some reason, 11 or something sticks in my mind. It was
Right,
some
it's very
ridiculously small
slim,
number.
right?
At least revenue neutral, so we're not losing.
We can do that, certainly. But again, I think that on those inspections, we should be looking at stormwater, some funds from stormwater to support those inspections.
To offset the $105,000 request.
106?
Well, we have to see how
No,
much
106,
the inspections are
105.
calling for.
Yeah, our request is 105. Last year was 106. We've been able to do some in-house saving that this year, just to take care of our employees, 105 will do it.
I think we did a certain amount out of stormwater funds last year.
Yes, you did.
Do you have that, Lisa? Do we partially do? Because I know when we went forward, and you're going to have to come up here, Lisa, I'm sorry. I don't know if you got that information. Long night last night, huh?
22,000, Don? Yeah, I think.
$22,000 that the Stormwater Utility Fund reimbursed the general fund.
Okay, so your ask is $83,000 from general fund dollars, then, if it was the same part.
I also got to ask you, while we're doing budget numbers, about how much you're gaining from the farming of that land over there, because that's, we don't really look at that as a general fund contribution, but that's county land, and I've talked to you guys
Right.
about that.
Right.
And so that's money the commissioners are allowing to be redirected to soil and water, and nobody's really said anything about that
A
over the
question for you,
years.
John, because he did bring that up, because we rebid out our farming land at the airport, the big
Right.
money generator out there on Russia Road, and,
Now, wait a minute, we make over
I
$100,000
know
a
you
year
do,
farming.
great job with farming on our airport.
Right.
But my concern being, have you rebid that out? How has that been
The-
being done?
The bid process will start here, and I think Sandy's in communication with somebody here to decide how they're going to do that, so.
Has it in the past, though, or has this been a stagnant number that? sort of just-
No, it's an open bid advertised, and you usually get 2, 3, 4 bids.
How frequently do you bid it out?
The contract might be either 3 years or
That's
5 years.
I think it's three with
Three.
a couple renewables. That's what we do. We do it 3 with
Yeah.
a 4th and 5th
What
renewable.
does that generate, John?
I don't know the number for sure off the top of my head, but it's probably close to $100 an acre.
And there are how many acres out there?
I don't know.
Okay. Yours is a convoluted budget at best for all the services you provide. I don't mean that poorly, but you do a lot of niche things around the
Yeah.
county and your funding mechanisms.
Well, the only reason I brought it up is that it is a general fund contribution. That would be
Right.
revenue that was
Right.
going to the county. So, when we look at what we're providing to all these departments, we should take a holistic approach to those issues. I'm not saying that what you should or shouldn't give them in the coming year, but you should be aware that there's a redirection of revenue already that would go to the general fund's coffers.
Well, these are the hearings, so this is where talking about this is supposed to happen at, so. When are your bids going to be received? Have they gone out yet on that farming?
No, I don't think we've sent them out yet because we don't know how you want to do it. And I'm thinking we're going to be in communication, we have been anyway, with somebody here at the Commissioner's office to see how it's going to work. And the bid process should be done here before the end of the year.
Susan or Karen, would he be in contact with?
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
We have standard documents, and they've done this before. They've done a good job with it. I think the lease amount they're getting is fairly productive. Ours doesn't tick up that much. So I think that they have a competitive lease. If that's what the board's questioning, I think it's competitive.
Oh, yeah.
It's just expiring soon. And just needs to
It
be
expires, and, land rent probably go up a little bit.
But you were counting on this revenue on top of the budget request, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason we only need to request what the employees needed, we also get a match from the state. This last year was $89,000, and this will sustain us. And this budget is low, but yet it will sustain us and keep us in business until things really get going in the county again.
How much was the 89,000 down from years prior? Because they used to give us, what, a dollar for dollar match?
Well, it's been a long time since it was dollar to dollar,
Okay.
but the year before, we had around 75,000 we got from them. This last year, with the good faith effort you folks did, we got 89,000 came back to us, and that was able to upgrade the office a little bit. We're also now searching for an individual to help with the Stormwater Phase 2. We're trying to bring in a person, a trainee to get them certified to help, because we're anticipating that, things are going to start moving here in Lorain County.
Because your budget, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, when we committed, actually is for the new biennial budget from the
Right.
state. So you're not on,
June.
it's our calendar year, but you will be July 1 to
Yeah.
June 30th, the
Right.
2000.
No, it's June.
2014.
The appropriation we need from the county commissioners needs to be in our checkbook by the end of May.
Correct.
So,
Right.
that,
Because they appropriate in June, which starts the July
Right.
1st
Yeah.
state fiscal year to carry to June 30th of 2015, so.
right.
When we did the appropriation last year, I was understanding that we were going to get some of the arrears paid up.
We did.
and
We did.
We did?
They're
Okay,
on there.
That's what I
Yes,
thought.
we did receive,
Well, I'm just trying to point out, because we all know that, but nobody
Right.
else.
Right. Yeah, we-
49,000 for back rent and 22 from stormwater utility.
Yeah.
so.
Right. Yeah, I'm only pointing it out because sometimes we talk about those things and nobody reports that we've achieved what we set out to accomplish. And that was taken care of. So that did return some funding to the general fund.
Yeah,
Well,
our goal is to pay the rent, because, even though you give us the money and we give it back to you, it helps us for state match.
Right.
It's a multiplier.
Yeah, it's a multiplier, or, imaginative financing sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's our request. It's down $1,000 from last time, and we'd appreciate any help you can give us. And I don't know if we really need any action today, but at least keep
No,
you
not
posted.
today. We're just doing hearings
Right.
today.
So I'll keep you posted. The other thing is, we'd like to, once we can bring some new employees on, we're going to try and bring them on part-time. At first, we don't have to pay a lot of benefits, and hopefully we're doing, the big thing right now is ponds, and right now we're training certified engineers on how to design a pond according to the specs of the ODNR.
Well, that's a major issue, John, because
It is.
Tom Steigerwald, because it used to run, what, 800 to 1,000 bucks for you guys doing it. Now it's anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 for the homeowner.
No, we were doing it for $250.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess
Yeah.
it's 4,000, 8,000, because I had a long conversation with Tom Steigerwald.
Well, yeah,
And
we
he
had,
said-
the program we had was a $500 application fee. You got half of it back
Oh, okay.
if you built the pond according to specs. And
Which handles,
we
part of
did
our
we did
water.
all the we did all the engineering and everything with them.
Right.
And currently, we do have engineer we share an engineer right now, but they can't do ponds. They don't have time.
Is there any way to incorporate that in your budget request? Even if you raise the fees to 1,000 or 1,500, would still save the homeowners the ability, or finding a way to contract so it wasn't 4,000 to 8,000, because that is a retention issue when they're doing the ponds. It's not just,
It's not
decorative.
not just for fishing.
Right.
It's a real benefit for stormwater to stop some of that fast water going down through there.
So is there anywhere within these budget requests to find a way to relieve the homeowners of those?
As of right now, no, but that's one of the things we're looking at, to find some staff that we can multitask. Right now, we can't. In the whole state, there's only one person doing wetland mitigation. And, it takes 2, 3, 4 years to get anything done. And before this budget crunch, we were able to do it in-house.
Jim, question to you again then in regards to like the issues with the pond and the funding for soil and water. If that falls under a storm water retention issue in the unincorporated areas, do we have any maneuverability there?
It could.
I mean, I don't want to convolute our system again, but I'm asking.
I'm kind of cautious on that because lots of ponds that are installed are not installed for stormwater retention.
Correct.
They're
Right.
installed
If they
for
fell under whatever guidelines we might have or not.
We have few ponds that are actually
Retention.
retention,
Well, that's what Tom Steigerwater
detention.
brought up to me because they were retention issues.
Most of those that have been installed are usually installed by businesses for on-site, since they're putting in so much impervious surface. They deal with their runoff by retaining it or ponding it. Most people, that have personal ponds are more for an aesthetic nature.
Okay.
And then, of course, there are a few that may meet the definition in some of the farming areas when they're draining their fields. So I can't give you a firm answer on that. We'd have to look at it on a case-by-case
Yeah.
basis. And I think we do. We talk about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we do. And,
SWAC and so on.
hopefully we can figure out a way to do what you're asking. Maybe we can get back into the business, but it's not cheap. And, it's a gift at $500.
Right, it sounds like that. So if you
It is.
raise that fee, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, it would still
And
be
actually,
savings.
it's a gift from the county commissioners.
Okay.
It's, whatever you give us, we'll try and spend it wisely, and so far, we've been doing pretty good. This winter, we're going to look for some qualified staff that we can start and train and get up to speed, and maybe in 2014-15, things will turn around here in the county.
You talked about having to possibly certify somebody for the Phase 2.
You're right.
Is there a way that we can share those services with another county, or do we have to have our own?
We currently, our workload's getting pretty big. We are subcontracting with Cuyahoga County. They got a young fellow there that is trying to get certified, and our John Zelick is certified, and he's going to have this fellow come in. He's going to train him, show him his way around the county, and he's going to help John keep everything going. We got some 60 or 70 backlogs that we're trying to get caught up, besides the new ones. And he's doing a pretty good job for what little time he's able to spend here.
Okay.
And this contract, I think, is going to be able to do it very efficiently and cost effective for right now, anyway.
Okay. Good.
And also, we're working with the Rocky River group, which we're sharing some of our help with them, and they're helping pay some of our costs too. So we're doing well, but not, we're doing as good as anybody.
Right. Okay.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have another one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Doug
Domestic?
Messer, domestic.
Domestic.
I think, Doug, it's your last time having to do
Oh,
this.
how sad is that?
There are varying opinions about it.
It's like this reminds me of the movie The Green Mile, that last long walk.
Oh.
There's no electrocution at the end of this. is there?
Okay.
Anything
No,
like that?
no.
It's parole for you.
No, I think I'm being totally released without any supervision whatsoever. Not what my wife says, but that's another story that I won't go into here. I wanted to just acknowledge, obviously you've already acknowledged the fact that I'm retiring, and I wanted to do that, but I also would be remiss if I did not, at least publicly, thank the commissioners for the attention and relationship that we've had over the past 8 years. We don't always agree, and nor would I expect to always agree. And sometimes those agreements are very impacting on both of us. particularly in fact, in the light of the fact that the justice system is one of your major expenses, and I am certainly not unaware of that. Since 2008, when the majority of this downturn in the economy hit, we've done a lot of things to try to curtail our costs and curtail the costs that you have to bear in terms of funding us. We've done things much as yourself in terms of cutting our management staff and cutting down on the services we provide and cutting down and seeking out, as we are currently, a performance audit from the Supreme Court. One of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention that I think is applicable to yourselves as well is the comment that was made to me on a preliminary basis by one of the Supreme Court auditors, who said to me, how can you function without a human resources person? And much like many of the things that we do, we just divide up the duties and spread them around. And so we have a lot of human resources duties done, much as what Jim would tell you, the same thing, done among many, many people. That may not be the best way, but sometimes it's just the necessary way to do those things. And so sometime in the future, like I think one of the sheriff's deputies said, when we get a performance audit, are you going to fund this person? And the answer at that time, and I'm not sure who gave it, was no. But that's those are the kind of things that people are going to come back around in terms of your performance and say there's a balance between the performance that you show to the community and to the public, and to the monies that you have available to you to perform those functions. So, having said that, I just wanted to indicate to you that you already have the numbers. In the PowerPoint would suggest a slight decrease in the numbers that were submitted to you in March for the 2013 budget. We have continued to work on what is a necessary and reasonable cost, which is the court phrase, as you undoubtedly know by now, the reasonable and necessary costs for running the court. We have cut out about, I think, $22,000 from the original budget that was given to you. A great deal of that, for 2013 is based on people leaving. I am one of the last in my cadre of people with 30-plus years. So, you probably won't have the benefit of these kinds of cost reductions, for the next couple of years. But it is reflective of that. You're going to be in several of the accounts. You're going to have anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000 cut. Turning Point, which was a point of contention for you guys, is being requested to be refunded, but that amount has gone down from $303 to $299. So that will be all of those things will come out in the information. The final budgetary documents I think will be sent over to Lisa in the next couple days, so that she can update her information accordingly. The budget that we're looking at is 4.3% more than what we received last year. And for the amount of money that we have, 4.3% could be quite a bit. And as I listen to the other parties here, I am not the fact that the entirety of their budgets is less than I'm asking for an increase is not lost on me, nor is it lost on the judges. But I would just reiterate that these are the costs and the budget that the judges believe is reasonable and necessary, and
Doug, can we do these?
We'll go forward with that.
You have 6 departments, basically. Can we do them item by item?
Sure, we can look
wanna start with the ones that
at the
were
door.
par?
The domestic relations is we were asking for 1955462 down from
Hang on, let me get to that paper. Hang on, we got 6 of them up here. I want to start in the same place you are.
Okay,
Okay. You are at the,
domestic relations.
okay, hang on one sec. Domestic relations. straight up, okay, that's got a $14,600 reduction from your, from 2000 and, I'm sorry, 14.6 the other way. $14,600 increase?
No. The door section, the door domestic relations is 1955462, down from 1964801.
Hang on, right.
Should be the first one in your,
The first one, it's usually, the door is usually the first one in the list.
You're not-
If
Got
you're getting,
1964?
are they getting the sheets with the line
do you have
items?
a copy of your budget request?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't
Is
have
that what
that
they're-
number.
This year's budget.
Okay.
So the bottom number on that top sheet would be 1964801, but now they're gonna reduce it.
Okay, now you're
What-
going,
Yeah, what are you reducing it to?
1955462.
Okay.
so that's about a $9,400 reduction.
Right. And then J-Pro, which is juvenile probation, which would normally be the second page
Got it.
in your list, is 1679790, down from 1680789, about $1,000. The detention home was remained the same and is, to be honest with you, with the overtime issues and the maintenance issues, the repairs and things like that, we're just doing the best we can with that as Mr. Cortez has indicated in terms of bargaining contracts, we are in the middle of a contract period. So we do not anticipate any massive increases or need to increase based on labor costs for at least the next couple of years.
Now, you said maintenance of the facility for the...
Yes.
Okay. Have you taken a look at the Director of Maintenance report on all the facilities? And does that match what the maintenance is needed at the detention home?
I have not seen, that was not shared with me.
All right. We'll get that report over to you. If you could take a look at it. see
I
if
will take a look at
matches.
it and pass it along to my successor
Yeah,
as
because-
well.
Yeah.
In terms of domestic support, that is down based on, again, retiring, staffing changes. It's from the 683,258, which was listed in the budget, to 675,184. Pathways is the same. It is not the full cost, but we are able to supplement pathways because of the nature of the activity with other funds, which are, unfortunately, have also been decreased, as I think I've indicated to various parties on the board. Turning Point, which was the program that was supported by the Integrated Services Partnership last year. They are not able to do that. They are zero, close to zeroing out their budget in terms of having expended that money to support that program. Turning Point is viewed very positively. While it is not mandated, which was one of the criteria that that the board was using for a great deal of time, is extremely important to many people in the community, to the mental health system, to children's services, to all the social service agencies. It's a way to provide an opportunity to keep the families and children safe who are where there is a potential domestic violence situation, which we find to be very important. And so we are constantly looking at how to best fund that. We were able, the reduction going from 303,060 to 299,180 is primarily due to, again, a retirement of one of the long-standing employees there. And the replacement, because they are on a wage scale, they're coming in at a lesser cost for labor. So, there's the ability for a reduced amount of cost to us. And so we obviously are going to ask for less if it's going to cost us less.
Doug, got a question for you. You had Turning Point funded this year. Was your, I hate to say calls, but the amount of constituent service up versus the prior year?
Yes. Yes, it was, and I know, unfortunately, like many things in juvenile court and social services, it really runs a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's no room at the inn, and other times it feels like that there's nobody there. And generally speaking, the average is what you want to look at.
Well, this year,
I can certainly give you. I don't have off the top of my head the average daily population.
Mm-hmm.
But, I know we've been, the facility has been more full this year than it was last year.
Well, I know we've had a lot of issues with the children's services the past year, and that's been at the top of the paper. Do those children end up in the Turning Point, or are they?
Sometimes, yes. Children's services cases absolutely do end up there,
Mm-hmm.
on a short-term basis while they're looking for for alternative placements
Mm-hmm.
with relatives or in foster care. And that's, if they had to remove those children and place them immediately into foster care or specialized foster care, you're looking at a great deal more cost than and is that a cost shift away from human services?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of is, but part of the issue there is it's much less. It's beneficial to the child to be placed in a facility that feels more temporary,
Mm-hmm.
because the permanency for the child is the important issue, and so it is I think it would be the contention of Children's Services, and it would certainly be my agreement that the Turning Point facility provides a good short-term respite in order to evaluate those situations and provide a smooth transition for the child into a more permanent solution.
Well, I have a question on the Turning Point, just because, it's been contentious the last couple of years.
It has.
Is this its only funding mechanism? I know we had to match the money that had come from the other group.
We have utilized, when you're referring to the other group, you're talking about Children's Services.
Well, yeah, Children's Services, then you had.
Children's Services is also,
partnership.
Children's Services as well as ISP.
Okay, thank you.
Was supporting that.
Okay.
And that's why I indicated that, unfortunately, ISP had the ability to do that, but they only had the ability to do that 1 year. And so that brings us back to having to come back to the board and to reinstate that.
Well, what I'm bringing up, though, is because Children's Services did pass a levy, do they have the ability to participate in funding this if they're using it?
More fully? Well, they're using, not all of the children, and again, that's
Correct.
why it's segmented. We could certainly legitimately go back and see what percentage of those kids are Children's Services cases. When we first looked at this, because of the hot and cold nature of it, it would be difficult to do it on a per diem basis, because in all social services,
Right.
it's the funding based on use is much more difficult.
It's a global concept, I understand it, because it's either running or it's not running. You can't just open it up because you have.
A need at that
Right.
moment.
Uh-oh,
So
you got
that's
help,
so
Doug.
there.
Got
But
backup.
Hey, Doug, it's about like Batman and Robin,
To let you know that they do. They have
Okay.
supported us for the last 3 to 4 years. They've-
which is above and beyond this $300,000 ask.
Yes.
They have a commitment that they
Yes.
fund. What's the full budget of Turning Point then?
Not the full budget is over 380,000. I think it was 405,000 last year.
Because those numbers aren't reflected. Here's your full budget. This is just a general fund
That's just what we're
contribution.
asking, yes.
the general fund contribution only. There's 72,000 from Children's Services. And what I believe you're asking is, could Children's Services contribute more based on their utilization?
That's what I'm asking.
And,
Charge
and
back or
that's,
something.
and that's certainly something we could review on an annual basis as a matter of course to determine whether or not that's appropriate. The downside of doing that would be if their usage would happen to be less, then somebody else would have to pick up the difference.
Well, what I'm asking is because we've got a changeover in domestic relations, not only you're leaving, but
Sure.
two new judges coming on board. And I would hate to make this a contentious issue going into our budget process, because it just doesn't, that's not fair. It's no different than what we did with the county land bank, waiting for the new mayors to take over in the largest cities. So they had input into how it was going to operate versus the ones who were outgoing.
Sure.
So my question being, if you can go back to whoever's helping fund this issue before it becomes contentious,
Sure.
that we can have some additional
Yeah,
information.
we could absolutely look at its use versus contribution and either as a percentage or as a trend.
Right. you can
There's
do it,
lots of ways, there's lots
multiple
of
years,
ways to
last
look at
3-year
it.
services,
Sure.
whatever. Laws have changed, so I mean, responsibilities and placement of the children and how long and where they have to be in services that are provided on top of that. Because we've always had the issue with the psychologist funding and the
Right.
local dollars, so if we
Right,
can
and,
wrap.
and as well as education, which is required.
Correct.
And, there
Medical.
are absolutely issues, and I can certainly look at those and balance those out, but.
Maybe bring
but
you back in a
that's-
couple, 3 weeks before you leave, if you can get some of those numbers to us
Sure.
ahead of time, I'd appreciate that. Like I
that's-
said,
should
changing
not
of the
be a
guard
problem.
over there, and
Yeah, there will be a lot of changes.
Right.
Not only myself, my administrative assistant is taking another position. And I don't know, and I feel the same way as Jim, I'm sure does about Sandy.
well, this
that,
board stayed the
it's-
same, so Jim and Sandy are staying.
So, that's, Jim could always leave if he has a heart attack and there's no AED up there to bring him back. Just had to throw that out there.
That's okay, that's
drug
good.
that we need from
Narcan or whatever,
Narcan.
Narcana.
Having moved past Turning Point, I will get the commissioner, the board, the information that you're requesting as far as the utilization rate.
Can I ask you a question? Is there a law that precludes us from charging the parents for the services that we provide to those children when they're in a domestic situation?
A law that precludes, it would be more, is there a law that would allow you to do it as
Right.
opposed to preclude you?
Yeah,
And then
is there
the
a reason
second
why we're
thing
not?
is how much would it cost you to collect those monies in that regard? based
like
on the-
anything,
on the
just like all of our-
On the demographic of the population that's being served. So that might be problematic.
I would think, Doug, I mean, the Commissioner's on the right path there, is if we knew how many actually serviced at Turning Point in a year's time, and, where they came from,
Sure.
globally,
Yeah,
that may
they,
be something to look
the
at.
a more detailed dynamic of who they are.
Right.
That might provide you some assistance. I don't know that we would have the.
But we don't
we-
charge the parents, do we?
No, they are responsible for any medical care. So unlike the jail that has issues regarding medical care and things like that, they are in the juvenile system. The parents remain responsible for any medical care and transportation and things like that, to and from appointments for doctors and we will occasionally help out in some regard, but it is different than the adult system in that regard.
If I remember correctly, I believe you have that information from last year. That it was a talking point that we went over. How many children were serviced through Turning Point and that, so.
Yeah, the one thing that as the commissioner was talking, there is no economic data gathered from them. So we would not be able to say that, the population that's being served, is financially able to provide that, other than just determining whether or not, in some cases, they have a Medicaid card. If they were Medicaid eligible or under receiving some sort of benefits. I would mention to you the multipurpose center is just utilities, so that's the same. The total of the budget is 6,805,525, which is down from 6,827,817, which was listed in the original information. I would say, there's a couple other things that came up. We had contributed to newspapers and education, which, the board had a concern over, and we have since, taken that out of the general fund. We were contributing to the Lorain County Academy for spots for juveniles. We have removed all of that except for the supervision portion, which would be a social work and drug testing, which is more of a probation function out of the general fund. So, we've taken those things out and worked with those people and given them enough lead time in order to access additional funds to cover their costs. Because I was initially concerned about just leaving them in the cold somewhere. So, but those things have been taken care of pursuant to the requests and concerns that have been expressed by the board in the past.
Done a nice job, Doug, thank you.
Any other questions that I would be happy to answer?
Covered it.
And once, if you're sitting alone in your office with your PowerPoint and you have any questions, please feel free to call me at least until December 28th, which will be my last day in this capacity, in which case you'll have to call somebody else after that.
Congratulations on surviving.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you. We had mentioned earlier that we attended the first land bank demolition for the Lorain County Land Bank on Northridge Road this past Saturday, and it was really a sight to see. I know it was on the Chronicle Telegram. If you want to watch what it looks like as the house is coming down, it's pretty spectacular. The people that live next door actually want to purchase the property, so it's one of those that is going to be a success story. They can't wait for, they want to own that property and make it look as nice as their property. They've got a beautiful property there too, so. And then I just want to thank all the people that came out to vote yesterday, especially those that voted for our 911 levy and our reduction in the TB levy. So those were very important to this county, and I'm just grateful for that, and also for voting for myself and for Commissioner Kalo and all the other candidates that worked really hard to get reelected or to get elected for the first time. So thank you so much.
That's it? Okay. Yeah, it was a busy week. Attended a lot of events. Again, the land bank kicked off well first time through. There was a lot of concerns as, we were going to feed the cities all the money. Well, we started in the township and it went very well, so I'm glad it went well. Again, kudos to Pat Metzger and our staff who helped get that done. We're running it on a shoestring, but it went well. It was great to see that first house come down and the neighbors happy with that. Mm-hmm. Also attended El Centro's gala the other night. They had a great event. Kudos to Victor Leandre and everybody who's involved with that organization. They do a great job. Again, thanks to our Board of Elections. They did a great job. Had a couple of issues early with refilling paper and stuff. Dennis Will was actually sitting with me at St. Cyril. He thought it was a concern. He wanted to make sure that you and I both got reelected, so he's out there to help us. So
good.
Thank you, Mr. Will, but he got called away, and Mr. Innes for fixing those issues. Everything went smooth. I get a phone call that they had a line of 200 people at Sacred Heart at 7:10, so I ran out there to work the line after all day, and it was all taken care of. Everybody was voting. So, again, thank you. We had a very nice victory party. It went very well. Congratulations to everyone else. Ms. Nedwick, congratulations. Mr. Nabokowski, great job.
Very tough race for you, huh? You knocked on a lot of doors, he said.
Congratulations to Marcy Capter. And Jim Sloan, you did a nice job here in Lorain County. Those who participated.
Did he
Marcy
win Lorain
Capter,
County?
He was up Lorain County big. I didn't look at the final numbers
He worked
this
so
morning.
hard.
He
I
worked
wish
very
he would've
hard.
won.
God bless
What
Jim.
a great guy.
Congratulations to our president, 4 more years. Senator Brown, a second term in office. It was a great night all around, and I look forward to the next 2 years.
2?
Yeah, well, I'm here 4, but the next 2 years of politics.
Well, I look forward to the next 6 years. So, congratulations to everyone on their victories. Everyone who participated in the election. And I want to say thank you to Mercy for their event that they had at the Cancer Center. Great facility out there. Job well done there. Been working on some issues with the municipalities. Tim, I'm going to have to touch base with you, have some ideas on how we might be able to work with them at the county level to reduce costs overall for both the municipalities and the county. So just some creative ideas that the different judges had. So, and that's about it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Public comment?
Oh, yeah, public.
Public comment? Anybody wishing to come up and address the board for just about any topic underneath the sun? Seeing none, I move we go into executive session as outlined by both the administrator and the assistant county prosecutor.
Second.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.